for today's show. Only one of them will win up to £10,000. The others will leave with nothing when voted off as the weakest link.
Welcome to the weakest link. 8 will leave with nothing. As round by round we lose the player voted the weakest link. Let's meet the team.
I'm Phyllis, 18, from the Gulf, Lady of Leisure.
I'm Shaun, I'm 30, I'm from Newport in South Wales and I'm a residential services officer.
Break the chain and you lose all the money in that chain. Say bank before the question is asked and the money is taken. Round 1. 3 minutes on the clock. We'll start with the person whose name is first alphabetically, that's you, Alex. It's boy to give a term for a girl with an interest in conventionally male pursuits.
Toy boy.
Tom. Shaun, in games, what B is the most common verb for what a rubber ball does when it rebounds from a hard surface such as the ground?
Bounce.
Correct, Caroline. In select, Phyllis. At a university, the abbreviation prof, when used for a member of the academic staff, is short for which title?
Professor.
Correct. Shaun.
Bank.
Okay, you've reached him back to a £1,000 target, and that money will go through to the next round, but one of you will not. Who needs a card? Put your board down. Crack on, Kevin, with the poem.
I ain't no rapper, no gangster zapper who dresses dandy dapper with his ring-a-ding fling. My working life no howl as I listen to the growl of the hounds and their pounds that I visit on my rounds. I should have been a preacher, dog whisperer or teacher, but I'm a metric reader of all the different meters. My work's just one on walk with a little bit of talk, but I ain't got zip to hawk. And I've never seen New York, but I see just every type of the house under high.
That's sort of not so much Jay-Z as J Class.
I should have apologised to all the rappers.
No need. Put your board up.
Thank you. Table.
Correct, Shaun. In vision, what key is the name of the opening in the iris that controls the amount of light entering the eye?
Pupil.
Correct. Caroline, you know the US politician who wrote the 2010 children's history book entitled Of Thee I Sing, A Letter to My Daughters?
Bill Clinton.
Barack Obama. Caroline, in Sam.
Alex.
Shaun. In wildlife, a hind is a female over 3 years old of which native British mammal, the brown hare or the red deer?
Brown hair.
Red deer. Caroline, in literature, correct, Shaun. In TV, the broadcaster and DJ who in 2010 began presenting the Friday evening episodes of The One Show is Chris who?
Blakeney.
Evans. Caroline, in
Strongest link. Shaun is statistically the weakest link. But who will lose out in the vote?
Voting over, it's time to reveal who you think is the weakest link.
David. David. Kevin.
David.
David.
Shaun.
Shaun.
Shaun, in medicine, what is the 4-letter name of the skin condition that is common in teenagers and characterised by spots on the face?
Acne.
Correct, Caroline. In Shaun. In ceramics, what W is a shade of light blue that is named after an 18th century potter?
Willow.
Wedgwood. Caroline, in TV, Shaun.
Bank.
In geography, the resort island of Santa Catalina off the west coast of the USA is part of which state?
California.
Correct, Caroline. In Where are you from, Shaun?
Newport in South Wales.
And what do you do in Newport, South Wales?
I'm a residential services officer.
So you live somewhere, do you?
I sleep over there one night a week, but no, I don't live there.
Where do you live when you're not at the residential centre?
I live in Cross Keys in the valleys.
Do you?
I do.
With Megan?
Beth.
Beth. Is she Mrs. Shaun?
Hopefully next year.
Oh, you're waiting that long, are you?
Well, I've been together 5 years and she popped the question last month. So.
Why didn't you ask her?
Well, she spent 5 years sort of throwing me off the scent, saying she never wanted to get married, so I took it off the table, but...
You took it off the table?
I did.
Which table was it on?
The table of life.
Why, Ian?
It was just the pass. I thought I should have a stab at it instead of pass.
So, Alex, why is Shaun, in nature, which word meaning chattering foolishly is often used in an alliterative phrase to describe a gently flowing brook?
Apple?
I'll accept. Thank Caroline, in Shaun, which female comedian is known for her jokes about eating cakes and chocolate and included the word cake hole in the title of one of her TV shows?
Dawn French?
Joe Brand. Caroline. Shaun.
Bank.
In a familiar expression, a woman who marries a rich man for his wealth is known as a what?
Gold
Gold digger
digger.
or silver mine? Shaun. In modern literature, James Graham were the first names of which British author whose novels included The Drowned World and Crash?
Thomas Hardy?
Ballard. Kevin. Born. In human anatomy, the long bone between the elbow and the shoulder joint has what medical name? The jocular or the humerus?
Humorous.
Correct, Kevin.
Bank.
Bank.
In sport, the annual Cup at Ascot involving the international teams of jockeys is named after which racehorse? Shergar or Seabiscuit?
Sugar.
Correct, Kevin. In art, has Alex gone out of fashion? Perhaps Kevin isn't cooking on gas? Or do you have a proposal for Shaun? Time to go on. The week to think. Shaun, why Alex?
I just think you're a bit unhappy with the banking. It'd be nice to build it up a bit.
Alex! Not at all. Shaun, in language, what P precedes school to give a general term for an educational establishment that provides its pupils with living accommodation?
Boarding.
Correct, Kevin. In wildlife, what name for the African mammal, sometimes known as the ant bear, is unusual in that it begins with double A and ends in a K?
Aardvark.
Correct, Kevin.
Bank.
In customs, a flower particularly associated with Scotland and often sold for good fortune is called lucky white what?
Thistle.
Heather. Kevin. In 19... Shaun, in show business, what D is a 10-letter word meaning small that's frequently used to refer to both Ronnie Corbett and Kylie Minogue?
Diminutive.
Correct, Kevin.
In the last 2 rounds to the weakest of this. Statistically, Kevin is the strongest link, but will the other players consider that when casting their final votes?
Voting over, it's time to reveal who you think is the weakest link.
Kevin.
Lana.
Kevin.
Lana, why are you voting off the strongest link?
I couldn't vote for myself. I know I was the weakest.
Lana, why are you voting off the strongest link?
Easier competition.
Shaun, why are you voting off the strongest link?
I actually didn't realise Kevin was the strongest two. I do apologise. My head was in the shed and I just remember that the banking incident where it was too late. So
That was
apologies.
Lana.
Oh.
Kevin, you are the weakest link. Goodbye. So this round, 90 seconds. But whatever you win or be trebled, you voted off the strongest link from the last round. So we'll start the second strongest, that's Shaun. Let's play. The weakest link. Start the clock. Shaun, in theatre, which play by Peter Shaffer centres on the rivalry between the composers Mozart and Salieri?
Amadeus.
Correct, Lana. Enrica. Shaun. In TV, the impressionist and political satirist who worked on Spitting Image and went on to have his own show entitled Now Something Else is Rory who?
Bremner.
Correct, Lana. Shaun. In music, which single-digit number that was itself the name of a band follows Maroon, Jackson and Dave Clark and the names of 3 other groups?
5.
Correct, Lana.
Bank.
In the media, in American football, how many players from each team are allowed on the field at any one time?
15.
11, Lana. In medicine, a symptom or disease that has emotional factors as part of its origin is described as being what? Idiomatic or psychosomatic?
Psychosomatic.
Correct, Lana. In politics, the BBC War Reporter. Time's up. You won £90, which will treble. It gives you prize money today of £2,450. There can only be one winner. Now up to 5 questions each. If there's a tie, we'll go for sudden death. So, Shaun and Lana, for £2,450, let's play the weakest link. Shaun, as the strongest link in the last round, you have the choice of who goes first.
I'd like to go first, please.
Shaun, in cinema, what was the full name of the actress who played characters called Holly Golightly and Eliza Doolittle in 2 films of the 1960s?
I can't think, sorry.
The correct answer is Audrey Hepburn. So Shaun. The stamps issued by the Royal Mail in 2010 depicting pioneers of science such as Edward Jenner and Robert Boyle marked the 350th anniversary of which institution?
The Royal Mint?
Correct answer is the Royal Society. Lana, in literature, Shaun, what name, meaning aimless pictures, is given to the Japanese style of comic book drawing in which the panels run from right to left and the characters have oversized eyes?
Manga?
That is the correct answer. Lana. Shaun, in definitions, which word can mean shares in a company and a wooden device in which criminals were once restrained for public punishment?
Stocks.
That is the correct answer. Lana. Shaun, in the Gregorian calendar, if the names of the months are arranged in alphabetical order, which one comes last?
September.
That is the correct answer. That means, Shaun, you're today's strongest link and you go away with £2,450. Lana, you leave with nothing. Join us again for the weakest link. Bye.
I feel really happy about making it all the way to the final. Not bothered about not having won because the best man won in the end.
I'm absolutely over the moon about winning the weakest link. I never thought I'd get as far, and I just can't believe it. Absolutely delighted.